welcome to RANsquawk's e-morning briefing for Friday the 30th of October 2009. Not unusual, it has been pretty quiet so far, being a Friday and the last trading day of the month as well. Take a look firstly in terms of the overnight news. We'll start off in Asia, where we did see the Bank of Japan interest rate decision where they unanimously kept rates on hold at 0.1%, which was as expected. More notably though, the bank extended a low interest rate loan scheme by 3 months but voted 7-1 to end that lending in March, and also chose to end less used funding measures, that being the buying of corporate bonds and also commercial paper, which is due to finish in December. Elsewhere, China, they'll stick to an appropriately loose monetary policy according to their central bank governor Zhu, which is pretty much sticking with their recent rhetoric. And elsewhere from the US, Treasury Secretary Geithner said commercial real estate woes will not set off a new banking crisis. Elsewhere as well, the closely followed economist Nouriel Roubini said that recovery in the US and the Eurozone and Japan will be anemic, adding that potential growth is 3% for the US and 2% in the Eurozone and Japan. Elsewhere in geopolitical news, ongoing in regards to Iran and that plan regarding their uranium enrichment program, a bill to impose sanctions on companies providing Iran with gasoline and limit their business dealings with the country cleared a US Senate panel late yesterday, as lawmakers set up pressure on Tehran to stop its nuclear work. In related news as well to that, Tehran seeks big changes to nuclear deal, and the move threatens the hope of a final accord. The West is likely to reject any of Iran's demands, so we'll be keeping a close eye for any further coverage on that today. At the moment, in terms of where we're trading, it's pretty much mixed to slightly lower in the UK and European equity markets. Just see a bit of a sell-off at the open, seemingly a bit more profit taking and overall a general reversal of some of the stellar gains that we saw yesterday on the back of that Q3 advanced GDP surprise in the US. In particular in the sector basis, oil and gas, which was a big outperformer yesterday, did drive the equity markets higher, having seen WTI jump some 3%. With crude down today, equities are down and oil and gas is now the biggest loser so far in Europe. Bunds then in turn have traded also pared back about half of the downtick we saw from the GDP yesterday, allied as well to some month-end buying being touted by analysts. Taking a look then in terms of UK related news, we did see the nationwide house prices this morning for October, most notably on the annual figure, the year over year, came in at 2% against the previous 0, as the first gain or the first annual basis gain since March of 2008. Nationwide economists though did say that favourable borrowing rates should continue to limit the number of distressed sales, but noted that house price rises had run ahead of consumer expectations over the summer. Elsewhere as well, GfK Consumer Confidence Survey, that came out the highest since January of 2008. Now is at -13 against the previous -16. However, their economists stress that the economy still remains pretty fragile. As well, much of the other press articles in the UK is still subject to speculation on what the Bank of England will do now, having concluded that 175 in their QE programme. Most papers, especially the Times, saying that economists expecting the bank to extend the QE next week, pretty much repeat what we saw yesterday with the 62 economists surveyed by a Reuters poll looking for an increase of 25 billion, with some looking for 50 billion. In terms of individual equities, Lloyds Banking Group, they're seeing gains around 5% again, and we see continued press coverage in regards to their capital raising and the government assistance or the government clearance they're now being given, and discussions that are ongoing. Elsewhere for WPP, the advertising company in the FTSE, they posted revenues in the Q3 of 2.01 billion, which was broadly in line, but their shares have traded higher, liking that news this morning. The company said conditions are less worse. They see no Armageddon, and says seen a significant turnaround in the third quarter. Elsewhere, Renault, they've also reported this morning, they reported after close yesterday, but opened this morning a little bit higher. Q3 sales -11.3%, which was slightly disappointing. However, Renault said that it would increase production by more than 50% in Q4 compared to the same period last year. And they're on track to meet 09 objectives of positive free cash flow, and says that positive trends in operational performance observed in Q2 will continue through into the third quarter. Taking a look then in terms of the calendar, we'll be looking out for the main figures from the Eurozone in around 10 minutes time. We'll have the Eurozone CPI estimate alongside Eurozone unemployment rate, which is expected to increase to 9.7 this morning. Main data from the US will be personal income, spending and PCE data. That'll be followed by the Chicago Purchasing Managers Index at 145 London, so 845 in Chicago, and then that'll be followed shortly after by the October final Michigan report. Speaker-wise, we're looking out for Geithner to speak this afternoon alongside ECB Spini Smadji. And in terms of US corporate earnings, Chevron is the main company pre-market today. And we'll also see a lot of other oil servicing names from the US, including Constellation, Dominion, Duke Energy and Southwestern Energy.